Hello, hello, hello. It's your girl, Sean Ray, and I'm back. You know why? Because it's Wednesday and it's time for Boss Talk. So, are you ready? Here we go. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Boss Talk. That's one of a kind, sensational superstars. And it's your girl, Sean Ray, and I'm happy to see you this holiday season. So, happy Kwanzaa. And I hope you enjoyed a wonderful Christmas and you're enjoying a fantastic holiday season. Yes, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. And I'd love it if you would just take a minute and go and share the link with a friend. We do want you to get some people in here so that they do not miss today's show, because this show is going to be great. It's going to have some amazing information that you all are going to benefit from. If you have children, if you know people who have children, if you are a clinician, if you're a teacher, if you interact with children in any way, shape, or form, you will want to tune in tonight, and you want to get others that you know tuned in tonight. So go ahead, take a few minutes, let them know that we are live right now on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and we are trying to go live on Instagram, but we seem to be having some problems. But we are excited that Instagram has now connected with StreamYard and we can go live. We just got to figure it out. It didn't work today, so that's all right. So if you're out there, go ahead and put something in the chat to let me know you're there and where you are coming in from. Let me know who you are. If you're a first timer, let me know that too. We want to properly greet you and welcome you to Boss Talk. That's bold, one of a kind, sensational superstars, and that's you. So if you were on last week, then you know that this holiday season has been a bit challenging for me in that I've had a lot of grief and sadness that I've been kind of challenged with throughout this season. And it was already a difficult season, as I said last week, because December marks my wedding anniversary to my late husband, the amazing William Joseph Brinkley. It also marks his birthday 2 days later. His amazing mother, who also went to be with God and the ancestors on June 24th of last year, and her birthday would have been December 24th. So she literally left us 6 months to the day from her 100th birthday. And so those challenges were there for me. But on the 20th of December, I lost a dear friend who I have known since I moved here to California from New York. And I just want to give a shout out and honor him once again tonight. And that is King James Edmonds. King James was a one-of-a-kind gentleman and just talented, gregarious, full of personality and swagger, and just a beautiful man to know. And so for those of you who might be out there who did know King James and did not know that he passed. I hate that you had to hear it on this platform, but I'm glad that you got to hear it from someone who loved him dearly. For gosh, he was like my brother for over 20 years. So yeah, and so just kind of managing all of that this week during the Christmas holiday. And so let's see who's out there. Mr. Seals, wow, you look beautiful. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's always nice to hear things like that, especially when you're feeling low. So thank you, Mr. Seals. I appreciate you. Thank you ever so. So I don't know if you read the show notes. My dear sweet friend. Hey, darling. Hello, sister girl. How are you? Thanks for tuning in. And Mr. Seals is coming in from Pacoima, California, in the 91331 area code. Now, Nene, where are you coming in from? Let the boss talkers know. And there's some more of you out there, and I take off my glasses the better to see you. Where are you coming from? Put it in the chat. Mr. Lindsay, Wayne Lindsay, drop it in for a second on my way out. I understand. Well, thank you for tuning in. And Mr. Wayne Lindsay, y'all, please give him a hand and a shout out, because Wayne Lindsay is responsible for that amazing My Theme Song. I love My Theme Song, don't you all? And Wayne Lindsay is the brother that put that together, and his amazing, beautiful daughter, Alana, is also on vocals on that. So, yes, indeed. Shout out to y'all. Much love. And Nene is coming in from the LBC. All right. I love it. Well, so tonight, y'all, we're going to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart, and it's called play therapy. Have you ever heard of that out there? Oh, yes, Wayne. Thank you. Indeed, thank you. Do y'all love my little pink and green cup? Wait, see? Shout out to my sorors all over the world. All right. Oh, the lid's not on that very well. So let me tell you a little bit about play therapy. Play therapy is used for children, and it is a form of therapy that helps them to connect with their feelings, helps them to get a better sense of themselves. And here's the great thing: they don't even know it's therapy because they're actually playing. But it's a really important piece to the therapeutic world, and a lot of people don't know about it. A lot of parents don't know about it, and don't know about the value that it brings. And recently, we have began to understand the amazing value specifically to African American children and other children of color. Using play therapy, it is very good to help heal trauma. And so I am so excited to bring to you my guest this week, because she is the play therapist. And so I'll tell you a little bit about her. So Deborah Lowe, licensed marriage family therapist, and she works specifically with children in her private practice. She began her counseling career after taking an early retirement from Southern California Gas Company in 2001. She retired as a program manager of a mental health agency in 2015 and enjoys the tremendous work she is engaged in with her clients. She is a graduate of the University of Phoenix with her bachelor's degree in business administration, and received her master's of science degree from California State University at Los Angeles in counseling. She is a registered play therapist from the Association for Play Therapy, as well as a certified EMDR trauma therapist, and is expanding her practice as well as working on the depression support group at her church. She markets herself as a Christian therapist and works with children ages 6 to 18 years old. She also works with adults, but prefers the dynamics of working with children. Her website, which is www.christianchildtherapy.com, and she is engaging and personable with anyone with whom she comes into contact. She's pursuing her doctorate degree in psychology from the Chicago School of Professional Psychology and is looking to explore the effects of childhood trauma, specifically in the African American child, and its effects of this trauma into adulthood. She is an active member of her church, Glory Christian Fellowship International in Carson, California, and has been on several medical mission trips to third world countries where she has experienced a greater level of gratitude for her life and her life's journey. Deborah is a widow and she resides in Inglewood. She has 2 grown sons and enjoys traveling and exploring new and different restaurants, as well as going to live theater. So, Boss Talkers, without another word from me, please welcome to Boss Talk, Deborah Lowe.
Hello.
I can't get her up here. This is annoying. This has been happening lately. Oh my goodness. Crystal? This is crazy. Crystal, can you get her in? I can't get her in.
Hear me?
I can. Hold on. Got her?
It's a blessing. Oh,
There she is. Yay. Anything worth having is worth waiting for.
okay. All right.
How are you, Deborah?
Fine, Sean. Before we begin, I want to extend my sincerest sympathy to you at your loss. I think, in spite of the grief that you are experiencing, you are pouring into the community, and that is phenomenal. Because I think we go through stuff that life has to give us, not for us to sit back and wallow in our self-pity, but to be able to turn around to others who are going through similar things and to be able to help them. So on behalf of the community at large, I just applaud you for pouring yourself into the community. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. I
Yes,
receive that. I
yes.
appreciate that. Thank you so much.
And
Yeah.
something else I want to say was that I think uh, is an African belief that if we keep mentioning our ancestors' names, they're still with us. They're still alive. They're still
Yes.
a part of us. So the fact that you mentioned your friend by name, I think, is profound. Very
Oh,
important.
thank you. I love that. Yes, at my husband's homegoing service, our friend and John Steinreich said that. And every
Ah,
chance he gets, he does mention William Joseph Brinkley. So we'll be calling him in too. So
that's
thank you. Thank you for
that's
that.
bravo.
Indeed. Well, I'm so excited to have you. And by the way, that is the first time that I read your bio. So I didn't know certain things about you.
Okay.
And I'm really excited to talk about because I have also had the honor and pleasure to serve on a medical mission trip. Um,
Ah.
I went to Guatemala twice. Did you? Now, where did you go?
We been to Haiti about 5 times.
Oh,
Been to uh, Northern Africa once, and to the Philippines about 6 times,
wow.
uh,
Oh, you've been
as
very
well
busy.
as to Ghana. Yeah. And each time is just such a humbling experience, such a profound experience, because you come
Mhm.
back home to realize what you have and what others do not have,
Right.
and still they survive and they are happy and they are thriving
Yes. And
with so
generous.
little.
And so generous. I remember being there, and I was the first time they had ever had a therapist on the trip.
Oh yes,
And
very
so
important. Mhm.
my line was out the door all
Oh
day.
yes,
All
yeah,
day. They would bring my food to me because I was
yes,
I was there,
yes,
And
yes, yes,
the people were so sweet. They would bring me little gifts, little trinkets, from their heart, making things
yes,
for me and
yes,
things like that. And it
yes.
just meant so much. and warmed my heart, so that out of their lack they gave so much.
That's right.
And
That's right.
it was very humbling, like you said, and just warmth,
Yes.
in that experience. So
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
well, we'll have to talk offline. I'll find out how I can get to go with you sometime.
I'd love it. I'd love that. Thank
Yes.
you.
And also, so you graduated from Phoenix undergrad,
Yes.
and I
My
went there for my
bachelor's.
master's.
Okay. Uh-huh.
I was at the Woodland Hills campus.
That's where I was. It's
Oh
close
my
to my
goodness.
job. So yes, Woodland Hills.
Okay.
Yes.
I love
Yes.
it. I love it. Well, Deborah and I met not that long ago. When is that baby's birthday? I gotta think. Is it July?
It's sometime in the summer. That's
I
right. Yes.
think yes. So my dear sweet niece Janak, who was also Dr. Janak Vance, who was a guest on the show as well, had a birthday party not long ago. And where were we, at the warehouse?
Yeah. Uh, yes, the warehouse.
The
Yes, the
chart
Halloween
house.
meeting.
Chart house.
Oh, okay.
Was it chart house or chart house? I think it was chart house. Yeah, and we went there, and that's where I met Deborah in the food line. And I'm a talker, so we started to chat and found out how she knew Janak, and you're doing your doctorate at the same place where Janak graduated from.
And it's because of Janak that I wanted to go to that particular school, because of the diverse population as well as the education. So she has been my mentor, even though she's younger than I am. But
Yes,
yes,
indeed. Yes,
yes,
indeed. I love that. I love
yes,
that. She is quite a dynamic.
yes, she is. Yes, she is.
Indeed, yes. Well, so play therapy. So what made you decide to specialize in that, or did you know going in that that's what your population would be?
Well, I think in graduate school I realized that I wanted to really focus in on children, and that's because I had one of the ladies in my cohort in the group that was with me in the program was going through a horrendous divorce and child custody issues with her ex-husband, and it was just awful. And I reflected on my own experience, and I realized that children need a safe place to
Mhm.
express their trauma and their hurt and their disturbances. And I
Mhm.
thought um, that's where the focus for me was going to be, in working with children and giving them a voice to be
Mhm.
able to talk about and share what they go through, So that's and then play therapy just kind of evolved from that.
Mhm.
And then I found out later that I can do play with adults as well as with children.
Yes, indeed.
I have found that adults do sand tray, and they do a tremendous work with that, because
Yes.
you're using a different part of your brain when you are playing,
Mhm.
as opposed to when you are talking.
Mhm.
So that comes across loud and clear when
Well,
working with children.
yes. Now you mentioned sand tray, and I'm glad that you did, because I'm fascinated by it.
Ah,
My beginnings were working with children.
uh-huh.
And I worked with children with trauma. I worked at a place called Loved Ones Victim Services. And so there, my first client, I shared with you, my first client was a 12-year-old boy. And for 3 weeks, he came in the room and just looked at me. He did not say one single word. And
Oh
I
yeah,
thought, oh my God, I'm the worst therapist in the world.
happens all the time.
How do I get him to talk? And, it took some time. And on that fourth week, I was like, should I dance? Should I, hey, all the things, right? And so finally I went into our little playroom, and I came out with one of those transformers.
Oh,
And he lit up like a Christmas tree, and he took it and he started to tell me everything about them. It was the way, though, that he was able to tell me about them, and the way that he spoke, and the not just the delivery, the intensity, and the focus. There was something about that. And I remembered, learning a little bit in our work that we did in grad school about autism. And
mm,
So I spoke to my clinical supervisor about it, and he was like, he goes, try this. And we kept, and so finally it was clear that there was something else happening with this child. And so we suggested to his mother that he be tested. And she was like, oh, yeah, they've been saying that about him for years. Hello. And so I was like, well, maybe test him. And so she let us test him. And it turns out that he was on the spectrum.
Mhm.
And then he began to thrive without treating him for what his specific needs were.
That's right.
He was not thriving, and he
Right.
wasn't getting what he needed. And so I have been fascinated with children and play therapy and the way their little minds work from the
Yes.
very beginning.
And Sean, especially in the African American community, we have such a taboo about therapy that
Mhm.
to be able to test your children for a disorder, to be able to ex, and a lot of times parents think that, little Johnny comes into the room and all we do is play games, but
Right,
I have to educate the family that this is not
right.
just a time for play, but there's something else going on, and we have to honor that,
Yes.
and so I really value this sacred place that I am in, because this is,
Mhm.
it really gives the child an opportunity to express themselves in ways that they would not be able to outside of this room. And that's why
Mhm.
after a while of developing a relationship, I invite the parents in as well, if I can invite both parents, if the child will allow it. And
Right.
in one case, the child said, "No, I don't want daddy to come in. Mommy can come in, but not daddy." And I said,
Wow.
I respected that, because this is his
Mhm.
area. So, but in time, the whole family is involved, and
Yeah.
that's where it's really exciting.
Yes. Now, two things. So, one is, how often do you find a parent that will come and drop their child off and essentially say, I'll be back? And I'm like, well, hold on. It's like they drop them off and say, fix them.
Definitely. That's
And then that's the one thing. And then the other thing is getting the parent to understand that no, this is not for you to be like sitting here watching everything
that's
that's
right.
going on.
That's right.
You
That's
have to
right.
trust me as the therapist, you as the therapist, and the process.
And the process.
And I
Yes.
think that that is a difficult thing for many parents. And that's why I think it's so beautiful that you are there to explain, to help them to understand the dynamics of what play therapy is, and that no, we're not just playing games. Because I had a lady come and ask me, she said, well, I know y'all been playing games, so when does the therapy start?
That's right. And when do you fix him? And when
Yeah.
do you fix him? So after a month or two, and Johnny is still having difficulties at school, or still behaving the same way that he did when I brought him in, why haven't you fixed him yet? Well,
Hmm.
like you say, Sean, it's a process,
Yes.
and it's not something that's an immediate fix.
Right.
Um, it took a while for this child to develop this behavior. It's going to take a
Right.
while for him to relearn, and to
Exactly.
understand that what he's doing is needs to be altered.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I guess, and helping the parents come in and learn the tools that you're using
definitely. It's
to
amazing how many parents will come in and uh, not and feel very uncomfortable about wanting to sit down and play Uno or to play Jenga with their child, and it's like, this is something that I really want you. In fact, sometimes I will give them a Jenga game. This is your homework assignment. I need you to go home and play with it. And a lot of times they won't bring it back because they're having such a good time, and that's good. That's all right. I don't care. I don't care.
I love it.
That's what it's
I
all
love it.
about. That's what it's all about.
Yes. Yes.
Interact and react and relate to your child. Not
Absolutely.
just to put them in a corner and say, play the video games and send them out, and you go and cook and do whatever you have to do. You have to interact with it. And that was one of the things that I always tell the children, ask the parents during the assessment with the child in the room. Mom, how often do you and Johnny do fun things together? Dad, how
Mhm.
often do you and Johnny do fun things. And Dad, how often do you and Sally do fun things together?
Absolutely.
They're paralyzed. It's like
Deer in
uh
headlights. Exactly.
your homework assignment then is you've got to take Johnny, to the park, or you've got to take Sally, to get a manicure or a pedicure or whatever. I
Right,
mean,
right.
do
It's so
something with
true.
your child. And
Mhm.
especially after this pandemic, children have been paralyzed with just wanting to play video games and not
Exactly.
having any interaction with their parents.
And how do you help parents wean their children off of a diet of video games on top of video games, sprinkled with video games with a topping of video games? Like, how do you?
I have magazines in my lobby with all kinds of statistics and reports on the damage, and on my website as well. It shows the damage uh, that these tablets have on our young
Mhm.
children's brains. And another, that's their homework assignment. You've got to take Johnny to play football with you've got to get him active in something. He's got
Yes,
to get involved with a sport. Sally's got to get involved with some sort of dance, some sort of track, or something physical
to move their
to move
bodies.
to
Oh my
move.
goodness. Yes. Let's see here. Hey, Soror, I'm representing. So Terry says, "Hi, ladies. Isn't it important that parents are explained the process and their involvement is part of the moving forward?"
Totally,
Yes,
totally, totally. And
indeed.
that's all part of the assessment. That's part of, and I bring the parents in periodically.
Mhm.
Johnny, is it okay for mommy to come in? Is it okay for daddy to come in? And because I want to talk about, I don't want to tell them what you and I talk about, but I
Right.
do want to bring them in so they know what we're doing, what's happening right now. And
Mhm.
in most cases, they'll say, "Go ahead and tell daddy or mommy what we're saying," because sometimes I am their voice because they
Right.
don't have the voice yet. And that's the whole
Exactly.
purpose of them being in the room, is to give them the opportunity to have the voice to be able to say to mom, "That really hurt my feelings when you did that, mom, but I'm gonna do better," kind of thing.
Yeah,
But just to give them a voice, just to give them.
absolutely. So speaking of the voice, now play therapy includes sand tray. And that is the
Wonderful.
most fascinating thing in the world to me. So, can you explain to the boss talkers what sand tray is?
Sure. I wish I could do a better job, but I have two shelves of miniature little figurines. And then over here, I have a small tray of sand. Um, and what we'll do maybe for the first 10 minutes is just to play in the sand, feel it. Tell me
Mm,
what you can do with it. What does it feel like to you? Is it cold? Is it hot? Does it make you feel uncomfortable? Because some children who have sensory issues cannot even tolerate the feel of sand. in
mhm.
in that case, we'll take some of the miniatures and we'll get on the floor and we'll do some stories on the floor. But what we'll do is I've got animals and superheroes and um, all kinds of things that I found at Michael's and Target and every place. Just little miniatures, and not necessarily that remind them of a particular person or thing, but what are the characteristics of that. So I will say, Johnny, point find something that reminds you of mommy. And they'll maybe have a nurse. Mommy's not a nurse, but why did you pick that? Well, because she takes care of me. And find me something that reminds you of dad. And he'll pick a gorilla because he's big and he's overpowering, and and he's um it's just a matter of, and there's no judgment on my part, none at all. So then
Mhm.
I'll say, what I want you to do is to take some figures, and I want you to tell me a story in the sand. I have one teenager that comes to mind when her father is so domineering over her, over everything she says, over everything and she used the words, he suffocates me. So
Ooh.
I said, "Can you do me a sand tray and explain and show me what that looks like?" And she picked all these different figures of various things, and she dug a hole. I have a little shovel. She dug a hole and buried all these figures in the sand, and then she covered the figures,
Mm,
and she just
mm.
sat there and looked at it, and we sat there for a while. And I said, after a while, I said, "Is this what suffocation looks like?" She said, "Exactly. They can't even breathe."
Yes.
But it was just the experience of going through that with her. She was using her right brain to communicate something that she couldn't express with her left brain. And
Mhm.
she we left it. We finished the session, and we left all the stuff buried in the sand tray. She felt so
Mhm.
relieved when she left the room. Didn't
And
change
that's
her
the
dad's
key.
attitude, didn't change anything about what dad is, but it changed how she felt about just expressing that suffocation and what that
Yes.
looks like.
Yes. And see, I think that there is so much value in that statement right there, because we always think that there has to be this grand result, that we have to fix it in a tangible way and in a way that makes it look fixed to us,
That's right.
right?
Especially
But
as adults, especially
yes,
as adults.
yes,
Yeah.
and children, we can learn so much from them because their process in the way that their minds think, there's so much brilliance there. And so
Oh,
much of the time as adults, we downplay it, we bury it, we don't allow it to be expressed, and at the end, we feel like there has to be a result.
yes, yes,
Something
yes.
has to have happened. And the thing that happened is that she expressed it. And that's all that was needed at that time.
That's right. That's
That's
right.
wonderful. Mr. Seal says, great information. I love the idea of interaction through play. This has
Oh,
become
yeah.
a lost art, 100%.
Oh, yes. Oh,
It
yes.
really is, with video games and, you know, other things on the videos, YouTube and all these other Twitter and all the Snapchat and all of these social media channels that these kids can immerse themselves in, it stifles them in so many
So
ways.
many ways.
And
So
the
many.
imagination. Now, I will say, if you go to TikTok, there's a lot of imagination
Yes, it is.
there. I will say that.
But it needs to be limited.
Right.
Kids, you know yourself, you get on TikTok or Instagram or whatever they are, and you can scroll and scroll, and
Yeah.
hours later, and you're still scrolling
Mhm.
because
And
it's
the dish is not
hypnotizing.
washed, the
It's
homework's not done.
it's
And
hypnotizing.
mhm.
So parents have got to be the ones to say, okay, you're limited with how much time. And I never tell a parent, only let Johnny stay on for X amount of time. I'm going to leave that up to parent and child to decide what is best for them.
Right.
And but there has to be a limit.
Something. Absolutely.
I have one Johnny who stays on video games until 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. What?
Mhm.
What?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And another thing that to me is mind-boggling and a myth, but when we were kids growing up, the holiday time and weekends and stuff, yes, there was a shift in the schedule. Like maybe you didn't have to go to bed at 9 o'clock.
That's right.
But there was like something reasonable, like maybe 9:30 or even 10. But today's parents, the difference on the weekends is unlimited. So you can stay up as long as you want, and you can stay on the game as long as you want. And there's no limits, there's no guidance. And I
There's
think
no guidance, Sean. There's no
no
guidance.
guidance. It's like
Parents
whatever they
haven't a clue what to do with this electronic device and limiting the child and what their access to. There are parental guidelines, and I shared that. There are parental um, websites or links that you can go on to stop a child from accessing things. We have 11 and 12-year-olds who are looking at pornography, and parents are saying, what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
Turn it off. Take it away from them.
Yes.
But Johnny's
And
gonna get angry. Yes, he's gonna get angry. But who's the
mhm.
parent here? Okay?
Yes. When are you going to get angry? How about that one? But
Yeah.
it's so true. And I just recently got a call that was so disturbing relative to a 13-year-old looking at pornography and kind of having an obsession with his own mother. And, I won't go into any further details on that for the sake of confidentiality, but there are some things that the mother is doing that just don't work when you have a
Yeah,
situation like that.
exactly. Yeah.
And, the child is special needs as well. And so there are specific things that need to have happened a long time ago before we got to this point.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so that's another thing. It's like you turn your head and don't look and don't set guidelines and no barometers and allowing children to just go hog wild, as grandma used to say.
And it's
And
just a
then,
lack of education. It's a lack of education. It's a lack of understanding the impact of inappropriate relationship that I have with my child and how it's going to be carried on. I have one little, she's 6 years old, I think, at the time, and mom was busy doing, what moms do. So she'd give the child her tablet and go sit in the corner. These inappropriate websites pop up when children are playing with. They
oh
don't
yeah,
know, so they just click on it and they see all this stuff. This child sees this inappropriate sexual behavior that's going on, and then goes to school and acts it out with a classmate. Well, of
yes,
course, child protective services is going to be called because what's going on at home, and mom is like, well, I don't know what happened.
exactly.
So
And all of that could be avoided with the protections that are set in
that are in
place.
place. That's
Now,
right.
I think you gave us some
I did.
for the let's see if we can put something. Let's see. It
One
was
is bark dot.
oh, there it is. US. Okay, let's get that out there. Um, so this is like instructions on how to um disable certain websites, kind of a thing.
That's right. That's right. There's
Yeah.
also a link for family resources for both parents and children to look at and to be able to talk about it. I think there's another one about how ad, children, and not just adolescents, but children also are very curious. So they go on these porn sites, and it's not that their brain is registering that there's something I should not be doing this, but it's very enticing. So
Mhm.
and these designers of these things understand that
Oh
to
yeah.
be able to hook the children so that they go down the spiral.
Yes.
And the most important thing is if parents have a good relationship with their child, and the child can say, mommy, daddy, I saw this and I'm confused about it, or I'm worried about it. But to be able to give that child the ability to be able to come to them and not blow up and say, what are you doing watching this? They're going to watch it. They're going to be curious.
Mhm.
Remember how you were at 11 and 12 years old. And
Yes.
experimenting is all part of growing up, but they've got to have the guidelines of a responsible parent, a
Right.
loving parent who's going to be able to guide them and not
Absolutely.
criticize or ridicule them.
Exactly. And make them wrong, because that's the quickest way to get them to shut down, and
Shut
then you
down.
don't know what they're doing and what's
Exactly.
going on.
Exactly.
Here we have another website. This website is an explanation
That's right.
on why kids look at pornography, and it's not their fault. And I think that it's important that parents see that, because it freaks them out. Then they start to react that you're bad and all of this and that, and then that stays in the kid's mind. And then we've
That's
got
all they think about. There's something wrong with me. I am bad. I am not uh, even I'm not good enough for
mhm,
mommy to even have a talk with me,
mhm,
for daddy to to explain to me what is going on, and
Yes.
what's going on with my body, even,
Right.
um and those are the negative messages that our children get about themselves, is that they're not good enough, they're not lovable, um they're not, they're bad in so many ways. And that's the issue in the African American community, is Caucasian families, they'll go to therapy in a heartbeat, okay,
Mhm.
and bring their children.
Yes,
But it's
indeed.
not that way in our community, and I think that is slowly changing.
Yes, it is.
Taraja P. Henson has really opened up mental health awareness in our community,
Yes,
whereas
indeed.
it's been invaluable.
Yes, indeed. She absolutely has. In talking about her own mental health, her foundation. And
That's
I
right.
think many of the celebrities out there, because they have people's ear, I'm really proud to say that many of them
Totally.
are using their platform
Totally.
to discuss the truth about mental health and
That's
about their
right.
own issues and things like that. And many of them have talked about all the way back to childhood
That's right.
and
That's
how,
right.
they didn't talk about it, they didn't get help, and they harbored all these things.
That's right.
And what we don't tend to grows like weeds in the backyard. If you don't tend to them, they will take over the yard.
That's right. That's right.
The same with mental health issues. Now, this brings me to one thing that this is kind of personal, because I am an adult with ADHD.
Okay.
And I grew up in the 60s, and so there was no word such as that in the Black community.
That's right.
And I have to shout out Gene and James Williams, keeping them alive too as I speak their name, because they had this way of being. And the rest of my family, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles, they had this way of being that allowed me to the freedom to be myself and not be stifled. I talked a lot, and they just let me talk. They
That's
did,
right.
now they did do something funny. They had this thing where they would say, "Baby girl, if you could be quiet for 5 minutes, we'll give you a quarter." And then the joke is that I could have been a rich woman, but I couldn't keep my mouth shut, because inevitably before the end of 5 minutes, I would say
Say
something.
something.
I
Yeah.
have to say something. But when the school, was calling and sending notes home and that sort of thing, my parents would go to school and they would challenge them. What are you doing? She does this at home.
That's
This
right.
is how we handle it. So what do you do? And I
That's
think
right.
more parents need to stand up for their children in that way, rather than bow their head in
Mhm.
shame,
That's right. That's
because
right.
so many parents are ashamed of anything that doesn't look cookie cutter normal.
Any label that is put on my child is a reflection of me, and therefore
Yes,
I have to be real careful about making sure that Johnny appears to be
right.
okay. Um,
Exactly. When
yeah,
indeed that language needs to change, is Johnny is okay, and
totally.
Johnny has this special gift
That's right.
that,
That's right.
that he or she is creative and
That's
likes
right.
to talk a lot,
That's
and we
right.
need to have ways to hone that energy. It was a known fact to give me things to do, because
Mhm.
if you didn't, I was going to do some things you probably didn't want me doing. So
Yeah. Yes.
so, but it's a shame, because so many children are like that. Like, I had grades my grades on the one side were like all A's, and then you go over here to this other side, and there was like
The behavior.
unsatisfactory. Yes,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
talks too much, works and plays well with others. Nah.
Yes.
Like all these things. And I just want to encourage parents out there that therapy is not a bad thing. It is a good thing. We are going to help you help your child. And we're going to identify what the special needs are, and that, even that is a negative word. So there's a new word, I think we
That's
call it
right.
neurodivergent,
Ah,
and I embrace that word, because it goes from ADHD, dyslexia is in there. What are some of the others? Dyslexia, there's another one that is akin to dyslexia that is not. Autism is also a neurodivergent disorder. And I
And the
think,
spectrum, the autism spectrum is wide. So
yes,
when people are hear that label, they think, you know, mental retardation almost, and
yeah,
that's so not true, because
exactly.
autistic children are extremely gifted. If
Yes,
only they have that focus, you know,
right,
and the
right.
guidance that they need. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yes, Margaret Best Collins. Hello, welcome to Boss Talk. She says it would be wonderful for our community to address ADHD in children and undiagnosed adults. Absolutely. And Margaret, I tell you, that is why on this platform I speak it all the time that I have ADHD. And of course, I always have people who say, don't say that. You're smart. You're this, you're that. Yes, and I have ADHD. I have it all day and twice on Sundays. But and I call it my superpower. And there's all
Yes,
kinds of conversation around that. Some people
yes,
think that if you say it's your superpower, that you're downplaying the the seriousness or whatever of it. And absolutely not. I think that by saying it is your superpower, we take away the negative connotations that overshadow the positives.
that's
And
right.
if a person with ADHD, they're creative. If you go to I bet you if you lined up 10 musicians, 7 of them have
Yes,
ADHD.
yes.
Artists, same thing. 7 of them have ADHD. There's a beautiful woman who just wrote a book that I've been listening to, and I won't shout her out because she might get mad at me. But she's amazing. The book is amazing, and there are so many principles in the book that I am embracing. And I know for a fact that this young lady 99% certain that she has ADHD and she is killing the game and
Wow.
doing all the things she wants to do in the world. I
Yes,
run several businesses. I have ADHD. Are there things that I could do better? Absolutely. And what you do then is you put the systems in place. But if you don't acknowledge that you have a problem, you are still trying to do those things and doing them unwell.
that's
And so
right.
I think that to know this is so empowering. And yes, some people need medication for it. If you have a headache, you take an aspirin. If you have high blood pressure, most of the time we take a pill. So if you are someone who has ADHD and it is best managed by a medication, then there's no shame in that game.
That's
There
right.
are non-medication alternatives, absolutely. But I say do your investigation, do your due diligence, and know what works best for you and your child. And here's the other thing, it's hereditary, guess what? So
Mm,
if mama has it, likely the children will have it, or daddy.
wow. Wow.
And I'm certain that it was probably my daddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And Sean, in some cases, though, we have to be really careful that we don't misdiagnose
true that.
ADHD.
Yes.
Especially our African American boys are over medicated
Yes.
because of their hormones are just adjusting to going from childhood to adolescence. There
Exactly.
there are things that are going on in their bodies having nothing to do with that diagnosis, but yet
Absolutely.
doctors will medicate them just to kind of calm them
Calm them
down.
down and placate the school system.
That's right.
So
That's right.
100%. I'm glad you said that. 100% that is true. And that's why it's important for our parents to be in there checking and looking and knowing the questions to ask and
Knowing the
getting
questions to ask.
advocacy from therapists like myself and like you,
Yes.
particularly you who specialize
Mm,
in working with children,
right,
because
right.
there's so much brilliance in our community that is untapped. And if indeed going and sitting down and talking to someone about what it might look like
That's right.
if you got some help is the it's a shame if we don't do that when the help is out there.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So what are some of the other techniques that you like to use with your kids? And talk about teens.
Ah, um, teens love to draw. I have a books, mandala books that you can with lots of crayons or markers or pencils, color pencils. And so while they're talking, while they're not thinking about what they're saying, they are coloring, they are creating, and what they're not guarded with what they're saying. And it
Mm-hmm.
gives them again, gives them an opportunity to use the right part of their brain to be creative in their drawing, but yet what's coming out is, sometimes what's the situation like at home, or
Mm-hmm.
what's the situation like with being bullied. And my children, my younger ones, love to, I play games with them. I always tease them about how um, I'm gonna win at Uno, and you're not, kind of thing, and some of them take that well and some of them do
Yeah.
not. Some of them would rather an adult win and will do anything to help me to win and them to sabotage their own games. And and,
Mm.
and so to be able to explain to them that this Jenga game that we're playing, this Uno game that we're playing, is just a game, and it's okay if you win, and it's okay if Miss Deborah wins. But it's just a game. It's just something fun for us to do, and it gives them. I had one little boy who was in here, and we were playing Jenga, and he won one time, and I won one time, and his mom and dad were sitting outside in the lobby. He says, "Can I go tell mommy and daddy?" I said, "Sure." So we opened the door. I won this game, or I lost this game. And mommy thought, "You lost the game and you're excited about it?" He said, "Yeah, because it's just a game." The
Oh,
mom told me later, she said he would never have done that before because to lose was devastating for him. And I said,
mm.
"But all you need to do is explain to him it's not
Exactly.
it's not about him. It's just the game that we're playing,
Right.
And to be able to put it in perspective for a little 8-year-old
Mm-hmm.
was
And see, a parent would normally either try to soothe that child who has lost that game, making it more prominent that, oh, I lost this game and now I need to be soothed.
or they're going to ostracize him. If the little boy has a temper tantrum and has a meltdown, go to your room. I don't want to be bothered with you. Go to your room. What is that telling that child? That I not only cannot regulate myself, but mommy and daddy don't even want to be around me because, and I'm saying, you need to hold your Johnny, hold him, touch him. It has been proven, studies have shown that if we touch a child for 22 seconds,
Wow.
22 seconds, it
Wow.
calms a child down. Their anxiety is reduced just by a touching, not
20,
ostracizing, not sending to your room. But I understand you're disappointed about that. I get it, and acknowledging his feelings, not
mm-hmm.
criticizing him for it. You
Yes.
know,
Yeah. And asking him, is there another way that you can
come on,
express that feeling?
come
Do
on,
you
come
think
on,
even
come on.
when you lose a game, what else do you think you can do? You know,
Yes, 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 yes.
because letting them come up with it also allows them to be creative, to
And
start
empower.
engage.
Oh, yes, yes,
Yeah.
empowers them. I
Yeah.
can figure out something that I can do to get around this, to regulate myself.
Hmm. I love it. I love it. I am so happy to know that you are doing this work. I am so excited.
Well,
The passion that you have about it is just unparalleled and beautiful.
oh, thank you.
Yeah,
My dissertation is on working with African American clinicians who work with African American children in this trauma modality of eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. And it's called EMDR. It's very popular and very effective. I cannot find any therapists who are working with children. Everyone is working with adults. But Frederick Douglass once said that it's easier to build a strong child than to heal a broken
okay.
adult or a broken man. And
Yes.
so if I can only find some clinicians who are working with children, that's where it starts. If we can start there, if we can start
Oh,
there, they grow into strong adults.
absolutely. Well, you're hearing this now, boss talkers. If you know any clinicians out there who are EMDR certified
trained.
clinicians, and are working with children, please reach out
Oh,
to us. You can hit me up at
thank you.
bosstalkla@gmail.com.
Thank you, Sean,
We're
so
also
much.
going to have Deborah's website, and you can reach out to her there.
Thank
Um,
you.
and let us know, because this dissertation thing is very important. Am I right?
For
What
sure, for sure, for sure, for sure.
about Brother Allen? Hello, hello. I'm gonna go ahead and say Mayor Allen Shea to just speak that right into existence, sir. He says mental health is critical from childhood trauma, the oppressive conditions in today's society, from the workplace, police brutality to trauma from COVID. We must include services as mainstream policy. Absolutely. And I am hoping that you will get into that office so that you can start to create some of those mainstream policies, my brother. Absolutely. Now, let's see. Jeffrey Proctor, hello and welcome to Boss Talk. He says, do therapists work in conjunction with physicians to make sure the medication prescribed is working most optimally with therapy? Or are the two disciplines oftentimes non communicative? Okay.
Thank
Yes.
you for that question. Thank you for that question. Yes, it is imperative. It is unethical for a therapist to treat a child who is on medication, or adult even, who's on medication, and there's not communication between therapist and physician. It's vital. It is vitally important. Of course, we've
Absolutely.
got to go through the protocols of getting authorizations in the case of a child for the parent to give permission for the therapist to reach out to the physician, but it's imperative that the two work together.
Absolutely. And
Thank
thank
you
you
for
for
that
tuning
question.
in, Jeffrey. I think you're a first time boss talker tonight. So thank you and welcome. Welcome. Is he a friend of yours?
He's my son.
I guess he is a friend of yours then. I love it. And this quote, I so love it. It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. I love that. I actually um, took today's title from that quote.
I love it. I love it.
Yes, indeed. And Brother Allen says, this will be part of my initiative once I'm elected mayor of Pasadena, so trauma won't be foreign to us. Beautiful.
Amen.
Indeed, indeed. So we have just a little under 3 minutes, and I'm so sad about that because I could talk to you forever about this. But we do want to honor everyone's time tonight. So I just want you to give a quick 30-second blurb that you want to leave the boss talkers with. What would you like to leave them with tonight?
Oh, Sean, that's so unfair. That children have a voice. That I think one of the worst forms of trauma, other than child abuse or domestic violence or any of these other atrocious traumatic events, the most profound trauma is not being heard and not being valued. Our children are not being heard. And if they can only be able to express themselves, they'll feel much better about themselves and grow up to be healthy adults.
Oh, that is profound. Thank you. Absolutely. Now, here's where you can find Dr. Deborah, or oh, see, I spoke it, Dr. Deborah. I'm gonna
That's
say
all right. That's all right. I'm fine.
you received that.
I receive it. You're right.
Yes, indeed. And this is her website, and you will be able to email her at lownla@aol.com. And so if you have children and you're in the Inglewood area or anywhere, because we do
That's right.
telehealth now, please reach out to Dr. Deborah and get your children taken care of. Okay. And thank you. If this has been your first time here with us, we thank you so much for tuning in. And we are here every Wednesday at 6 o'clock on that Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Central Time, and 9 o'clock on the East Coast. And it's your girl, Sean LeRae. Y'all know what to do. Live loved and shalom, y'all. And we're going to play it on out.